Hello there, boxing fans around the world. Welcome once again to another episode of The Scoop featuring the champ, Bola Ray, who has been filling our ears with all sorts of madness and mayhem from a day gone by when we had champions going toe to toe practically every month and making a lot of fun out of it as well. It was a great time to be a fan as we went through the 70s and 80s with these great guys. And when I say great, yeah, we're talking about the greats, including Muhammad Ali, potentially the greatest.
Yeah,
And tonight we've got someone who added to his life story, I'm sure.
very much so. Very much
All
so.
right.
Um, Today I'm talking about a man who, for reasons I still can't wrap my head around, just was not satisfied with being who he was. He was a light heavyweight. By today's standards, he would have been seen as a light heavyweight or even a cruiserweight. But this was before the cruiserweight division had actually begun. But even then, he was still teetering on the light heavyweight side, or a very small heavyweight by definition at the time, and yet he still was constantly just not happy with being not just a light heavyweight, but a world champion light heavyweight. Not even a world champion, but arguably the greatest world champion light heavyweight. He'd always go back up to heavyweight just to fight the bigger boys, and was never really all that successful with his heavyweight campaign. Um, he was a great test. He was so great that he tested himself in the heavyweight division like quite a few times, and he didn't do poorly, but he went up. He lost against future or even current world champions, and yeah, still was not happy. Um, with that being said, my name is Bola Ray, and this is the Scoop. Born April 27th, 1942, in Borger, Texas. But the family moved to Albuquerque, New Mexico, when he was still in his formative years. Um, was none other than Bob Foster, a name most people don't really know, and they really should. Um, upon finishing high school, Bob enlisted in the Air Force, where this is where he found boxing. And while he was in the Air Force, he got into the Golden Glove circuit, fought in the Golden Gloves, fought in some inter-service boxing competitions. And then he turned pro March 27th, 1961. Like I said before, Bob was a natural light heavyweight. And that weight class was just, well, it wasn't enough for him. But he would go up to heavyweight for the opportunity to prove himself, prove something to himself that he can hang with the big boys. Now, keeping in mind, Bob was a tall man, 6'3" by yesterday's standards. He just was not happy with not being the big boys. Granted, the money was probably a lot better, much like today, if you fight in the heavyweight division. So he started off his career fighting solely light heavyweight and won the first 9 fights. And then he goes up against Doug Jones, October 20th, 1962, on 3 days' notice, because you may have remember me talking about a Zora Foley. He had contracted some kind of virus. So not only does he decide to go up a weight class, but on 3 days' notice. That's a level of confidence that I'm just like scratching my head about, but so be it. Bob, this is his first dance at heavyweight, and right off the hop in the first round, wham, Bob hits canvas. and doesn't actually get up until the ref actually counts 9. So he was pretty stung, to say the least. From there, he then went on to fight, do the best he could for the next 6 rounds. But then in the 7th round, and it was a pretty telling round, he was game, but he wasn't. He was taking quite a shellacking, especially at the end of the round. And then he got caught, boom, with this huge left hook, and he falls. He gets rocked, but he doesn't hit canvas. And just before just before Doug Jones was actually able to jump him, the bell goes. So he got saved by the bell. He had a minute to clear his head. So be it. He then returns to the next round, the 8th round, and he's attempting to reestablish his jab and whatnot, but isn't all that successful. And what ends up happening is Doug catches him again. Boom! And he's rocked. Again, does not touch canvas. But because he had been taking so much abuse, especially from the end of the last round to this point in the 8th round, the ref justifiably stops the fight. His first contest at heavyweight wasn't ultra successful, so be it. He nothing really to be ashamed of. He was 8 pounds smaller than this guy. First time ever fighting someone that was that much bigger than him. So he goes on to fight 3 more fights and loses his only in his whole career light heavyweight title, light heavyweight fight against South American champion by the name of Muro Mina. Now, great fight, technical fight, unanimous decision, but still, it was. Again, I still think that he had nothing to be ashamed of, and he just fought a champion, decent caliber fighter, took a loss in the division that he's supposed to have stayed at. But heaven forbid he listened to anybody. July 10th, he attempts his hand at heavyweight again to lose to a 7th round knockout to Ernie Terrell, if you remember from another show that I've done. Now, Ernie Terrell was a heavyweight. Why? In between, he had already won some 6 or 7 fights, all at light heavyweight, showing his dominance, only to come back up to heavyweight to play with the big boys, and just did not prove favorable. I don't understand this. After the fight, he actually goes and finishes the year with 3 more fights, pretty decent fights, all like 2 fights in the month of November alone. Again, at light heavyweight. And he's dominant. Starts the following year off at light heavyweight. And he's dominant. Only to then meet up with Zora Foley, the fighter that had to duck out in his first fight with Doug Jones. Zora wins a unanimous decision over him, but again, as a heavyweight, he's frustrated, and I, for the life of me, don't understand why. If he just stayed at light heavyweight, he would be, well, everybody would know his name a lot more than he do, you know?
Right.
But instead, he goes back back up to heavyweight, looking to make a dent, trying to make get in the rankings, and is unfortunately unsuccessful. He comes back down, and now he has a string of fights, a string of wins, where he finally gets his title shot at light heavyweight against none other than Dick Tiger. Dick Tiger was a Nigerian expat, phenomenal fighter, two-time world champion at middleweight. Decided to come up in the ranks, or come up to the heavyweight, light heavyweight, and was actually beaten March 24th, 1968, by Bob Foster, which is no surprise, and it was just Bob was beyond, amazing by this point, but so be it. He stays there, and dominates the light heavyweight division for a while, only to then eventually run into none other than the man himself, Joe Frazier.
Wow.
And he's defending his titles. Let me retract. He finally got an opportunity to fight for the title, April 4th. Or he was defending his title. Sorry, April 4th. But he is fighting guys who are light heavyweights, April 4th of 70, and he's beating these guys. And then all of a sudden, Joe Frazier comes in, but he's at heavyweight. Joe Frazier weighed 209. Bob Foster weighed 188, and that is arguably the heaviest Bob could ever make. Why go there? You're a king at light heavyweight. Nobody can touch you. You're destroying. Why go there? Goes up against Joe Frazier and gets knocked out in the second round. I don't know what to make of it. Once again, goes right back down to light heavyweight. Does what he's got to do. Mind you, this time he has quite the winning streak. Goes on for another 2 years, almost 3, undefeated, defending his light heavyweight title, only to then go off and run into the man himself, the greatest, Muhammad Ali. We're talking November 21st, 1972. Now, he initially went up against him solely because this is right after Muhammad Ali had already lost his title, and he fought Bob Foster at heavyweight for the North American Boxing Federation title. So it wasn't a world title shot, but like I said, North American title shot. And Foster was knocked down 4 times in the 5th, twice in the 7th, and then finally one more time in the 8th, and then he got counted out. He just wasn't big enough. He was sensational at light heavy. Not big enough. I'm not taking anything away from him. There's nothing to be ashamed of. Yet he just doesn't do it. He goes right back up and then goes back down to light heavy again. He has a successful career, pretty much to the end, and then he finished off his career with 2 back-to-back losses against none other than heavyweights. And once again, 2 big losses, 2 knockouts, 2 stoppages. He was a sensational talent. He was just physically, and we all know these guys who for the life of them, unless you put bricks in their pockets, they're not going to tip the scale any heavier. And for the life of me, he did not want to stay, or he wanted to be known for his accolades at the heavyweight round, at the heavyweight ranks. Post boxing life, he became a sheriff. Actually, that was his ring name, deputy sheriff. Right from Jump Street, it was always what he aspired to be, and he finished off his life as deputy sheriff. What you call it? In Bernalillo County Department Sheriff in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Died at the age of 73, November 21st, 2015. And I'd like to say thanks for the memories. He genuinely made things interesting. He kept us entertained. Thank you, sir. And with that, that is my show. So if you like this episode, please hit the like button and subscribe. Smash the notification bell. It's your boy Bola. That's the scoop.
You know what I'm thinking?
What's up?
The man obviously had a big heart. I mean, he had a passion for the game, obviously, and I think he knew where the money lay. But anyway, you know what they ask of the Spartans? They ask of the Spartans, were they brave or were they stupid? So I'm sitting here, I'm listening to this story. I'm thinking, did the guy ever win at heavyweight? Did he ever win?
He won.
I mean,
he won some fights. Like he was just never. He never got to the point of contender. I shouldn't call him. I shouldn't say that he never got to the point of contender, because he actually fought Joe Frazier for the world title, but it was because he was so dominant as a light heavyweight in the weight class below. He did have some wins against some future contenders, but nothing. Yeah, he never beat a champion at heavyweight, that is.
What a story. No, I
say the least.
You can't say it. Yeah, I mean, that's a story. I'm just saying, poor guy. I mean, he, if you balance off his fantastic career at light heavyweight, but what is he known for? The cricket who could or couldn't,
exactly.
I guess.
Exactly.
All right, Champ, thanks very much for another great episode. I really appreciate it. It's good stuff. And we'll see you tomorrow night. And today's hump day, so we've got 2 more episodes this week coming up. And you're gonna surprise us tomorrow, or are you gonna let us know who you're doing?
No, it's a surprise. Actually, I already told you it's gonna be Buster Matheson, but yeah. I already told you. I already gave it away.
Good stuff. We'll see you tomorrow night.
All right.